Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator News. And we have a bunch to talk about today, so stick around, guys. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkill's tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future updates and future guides that will be coming down the road. Link to Patreon can be found in the description below. Okay, so first up on the list here, Airplane Heaven and Microsoft have partnered up, and we have a couple of aircraft that are coming from this development here. So first up, with the announcement of the 40th anniversary edition of Microsoft Flight Simulator being released, expected now to be in November, we have the Douglas DC-3 from Airplane Heaven. The DC-3 is supposed to be a fully modeled, fully functional aircraft that brings just another vintage aircraft back into the simulator. This is a really awesome aircraft. The DC-3 is so iconic, especially if you are caught up on your World War II history. It was very, very commonly used as your paratroopers. So super, super excited to see this aircraft hitting the Microsoft Flight Simulator. Again, this is expected to come in November. Now, the coolest part, it's going to be completely free. There will be absolutely no charge to anyone with the Xbox Pass or current Microsoft Flight Simulator users. So, super, super awesome development. If you are a big fan of the DC-6 from PMDG, the DC-3 is going to fall right in line and really make your flight simulation experience a bit better. The other aircraft that was announced coming from Airplane Heaven is the de Havilland DHC-1 T10 Chipmunk. This is a two-seat single-engine trainer that was used by the Royal Canadian Air Force as well as the Royal Air Force. God, I almost couldn't say that one. There isn't any other further development on this aircraft, but we do know that it's coming. For those of you who are unsure what it looks like, here is a couple screenshots of the Chipmunk. So definitely a very unique aircraft, definitely something that quite frankly I haven't seen before, but definitely fits in with the World War II era airframe of style, if you will. So again, another cool aircraft. It'd be fun to have it on board, and I look forward to the new developments that are coming from it. To announce yet another partnership that's coming with Microsoft Flight Simulator is AnyBuilds. They have also partnered with Microsoft, and they are going to be releasing the next Airbus. We are going to be seeing the A310, and again, it is going to be completely free. This is again supposed to be a high-fidelity, fully modeled aircraft built more around the 1980s style of the A310, as well as having a fully functional and integrated EFB. That EFB should be able to handle anything from aircraft configuration to the ground services. It's going to be, again, completely free of charge. I'm sort of blown away by this. Like, at a time where you have X-Plane 12 coming around the corner, and there's a lot of debate back and forth whether or not, people are going to stay with X-Plane or stay with Microsoft Flight Simulator. Although I will say, and I do have to agree, that because of the graphical advancements that were brought in by Microsoft Flight Simulator, the real-world terrain, the satellite imagery, and that flight models and aircraft are starting to be developed more and more, and we're starting to see a higher build. It's really amazing to see that this 40th anniversary edition of Microsoft sounds like it is really going to change the game, because we have yet another article that we're going to talk about in just a second that's going to better define what we are to expect with the 40th anniversary. And some of those features have already been included. We've been seeing, the Top Gun series. We've been seeing a few aircraft starting to show up in regard to the free partnerships that are coming around, and a bunch of free aircraft that are coming down the line. But an Airbus A310 for completely free, and if it meets all of the high fidelity standards that we've come to see from PMDG, from the Flybywire team, and some of these other aircraft that have really dove in deep and really added a ton of fidelity and realism to the aircraft. Now we're going to get one that's going to be free of charge. That's a pretty big selling point for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I have to say they really stepped it up with these partnerships. And the cool part is that Any Builds has blatantly said that this is going to be their most detailed aircraft yet, with a detailed model and texturing that includes panel lines, dirt, detailed decals, and more from the 1980s aircraft. So along with a high quality visual plane, Any Builds has included high fidelity systems that have been completely rewritten since the original version of X-Plane 11. So this is not a port of any kind. This is a completely rebuild of the aircraft to suit Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's fantastic. I have no problem with an A310, and we're going to see back to the old steam gauges. We're going to see a completely different style of controlling the aircraft. With the Airbus series, I know that, at least for me personally, when it was one of my arguments with the Phoenix A320. You have the Phoenix A320, you have the Flybywire A320. We have, hopefully to soon see, an A380 at some point in our near future. A lot of these Airbus, even the A330, when you sit inside the cockpit, it gets a little bit more difficult to distinguish between the aircraft, and in my opinion, sort of takes away from that experience of flying those different aircraft. Not completely, but it's sort of like when I flew the Phoenix for the first time. There were some differences, absolutely. There's some panel differences, absolutely. But because of my experience with the Flybywire A320, I was able to still get up, get the engine started, and went for a flight. And so seeing something of this nature, like the A310 coming down the line, you're not going to have that. I imagine that the startup process is going to be pretty significantly different, and the cockpit and the overall operation of the aircraft is going to be a completely different experience, which is definitely a good thing for flight simulation, in my opinion. Now to finally talk about Microsoft Flight Simulator's 40th Anniversary Edition. It has been announced. We know that it's coming in November of this year, and there are a ton of new adjustments coming to the aircraft list, if you will. During the trailer, there was glimpses seen of helicopters, historic aircraft, jetliners, and gliders as well. Now, the gliders, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's to each their own. The gliders, unpowered flight, I don't know. I think you have to be bred different in order to enjoy those, and that's not a bad thing. It's sort of like, prefer World War II aircraft to modern aircraft kind of situation. Gliders don't really spike my interest, but you know what? We're going to try one out just to see. I might be wrong. Helicopters, it showed various helipads, buildings, and more. There's a ton of new development coming from the 40th anniversary that I am super excited with. We have plenty of new aircraft. We've already discussed a few of those. Obviously, the A310 is up the biggest on the list there, I think. But we have a bunch coming, and here's just another list of what we have. We have the Wright Flyer, the Ryan NYP. We have the Douglas DC-3, the de Havilland, as we talked about a minute ago. Actually, DHC-2 Beaver. Actually, we did not talk about that one. The Bell 407. We have a bunch of aircraft coming, so it's going to be quite the change come the 40th anniversary. I'm kind of curious what other developments that we may have coming. I would like to see, of course, we always want to see performance changes, but what I mean is interaction. I'd like to see a UI interface change, make things just a little bit less clunky, things like refueling and speaking with ATC. Maybe we'll see an ATC improvement, but I do have a surprise for you at the end of the video, so stick around. But really a lot of very awesome things coming with the 40th anniversary that I think, as I said previously, are really going to shake up Microsoft Flight Simulator and take it to a whole new level. Maybe the level that we've all been waiting for. I mean, we've all known that it's a wonderful platform. We've just had issues with, maybe the time it's been taking and a lot of the bugs and issues. So I'm really hoping that for this 40th anniversary, before they iron out all this, or before they bring out all of this awesome new product and these new features and aircraft, that they also take some time to really iron out a lot of things and really make the experience of the 40th anniversary edition as phenomenal as it is sounding. It really is sounding great. And I think that if it meets the expectations that we have and it meets up to what the things that they're saying it's going to be in there, it's going to decimate every other flight simulator. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Crossing fingers for that. As we all know, World Update 10 released today. Make sure that you guys go to your marketplace and make sure that you update it or download it if you haven't yet. It is a free update to Microsoft Flight Simulator owners, but typically you do have to download them manually. Now, the cool part is what they've done here is they've gone back to the United States of America. So obviously, I'm going to be a little bit on the selfish side. I'm super excited by this. They've gone through, they also updated the air rack cycle, by the way, to 2206. And they have gone through and updated much of the U.S. scenery with new tiles and more accurate representation of many of areas, as well as new runways, new challenges, a bunch of different things that have now come down the line. Oh, I thought there was more to that article. With the Microsoft Flight Simulator window or update 10. I will tell you that they've added a ton of points of interest. There were actually quite a few that caught my attention. A big one that spiked my interest because it's actually not too far from Tucson is Biosphere 2. So we'll definitely be flying over there and checking that out as well. So bottom line, be sure that you guys update to World Update 10. Get those awesome new sceneries. Get those awesome new airports. Super excited about this one. Again, obviously I live in the US, so I'm going to be a little bit selfish on this one, but super, super stoked about it. And from what I've seen so far, I was flying around a little bit earlier, and it looks really, really nice. Next, the local legend Beechraft Model 18 has been released. This aircraft is an awesome twin-engine aircraft, although it is a bit on the older side. It has a top speed of 230 miles an hour, a ceiling of 20,000 feet, and a very, very reasonable price point at $14.99. This aircraft can be found in the Sim Market Store. We're going to be picking this one up and doing a review on it later in the week. I love this aircraft. I've seen this aircraft in tons of different movies. I've seen it at a couple different air shows. It is a really cool looking plane. It's comfortable. It's big and roomy inside. Really, really awesome plane, especially for its age. And I am super excited to get a hands on it. So let me know what you guys think of the Model 18 down below, and if you're going to be picking this one up as well. Again, $14.99, perfect price point. Finally, the big one that I have really been waiting to talk to you guys about is a new ATC experience. We did a quick review, not a review. We read an article a few weeks ago about the potential of this hitting the sim soon, and it's finally here. This replaces the default ATC system with a new tool that adds a new experience for Microsoft Flight Simulator users. Guys, I want you to have the heads up right now. I have already purchased it. The second I saw this article, I went out and grabbed it. So we'll have a review coming out for this definitely within 24 hours of this video being launched. You guys will see what this one's all about. FS had launched unprepared. That's where it initially came from. And then we saw an article, like I said, I want to say it was actually probably a couple months ago now, where they were going to release it for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, in the initial, it's only going to have IFR support, so please keep that in mind. VFR support is coming in the future, but at the moment, you must file an IFR flight plan. However, I can tell you that it's got integrations with both Navigraph to keep the AirAC data up, as well as SimBrief integration. $34.95. It's expensive. Okay, that's definitely a high price tag. However, again, I can't speak to the functionality of it yet. I have it installed, but I have yet to get a chance to test it. We're going to be doing that right after this video here. But super excited. You guys know that in any of my videos, I no longer use the in-game ATC. I stopped using the in-game ATC actually probably about a month after the simulator released. I gave up on it. I did pilot to ATC for a while, but it was just, you know, you get tired of that robotic voice. But Pilot to ATC is a wonderful program. I do not want to take anything away from that, so please don't misconstrue my words. It is a beautiful program, amazing program. But again, it's very, very expensive. And so I am super, super excited to try this one out. We're going to put this one through the paces. I'm going to try both commercial IFR flight as well as just something like, I don't know, we'll do a hop in the G36, you know, doing a couple town hops or something like that, file some IFR flight plans. So super, super excited about this one, guys. I have been waiting for a new one. Now, a couple things that I do want you guys to know right off the bat from reading the information on the actual developer's website. So first off, with AI traffic, it's not a bug with the software. It is a bug with Microsoft Flight Simulator. Well, more specifically with the SDK. The SDK is not at a point yet where the software is able to inject routes into the AI traffic. So basically what it has to do is estimate where the AI traffic is going to be and then report that via the ATC system. So again, that is an issue with the SDK. As soon as the SDK matures a bit more, which we all know that I will give Asobo this, they're working on the SDK rather rapidly. So hopefully that won't be an issue much longer. And then again, there was the issue that we're restricted to IFR flight plans at the moment. But stand by on this one, guys, because I am super, super excited to do the review on this one, and I'm really hoping it meets the expectation and really enhances the ATC experience. So stand by on that one. The last one I wanted to add, guys, this is actually a different simulator. It's called Airport Sim by MS Games. It is a simulator that actually puts you in the spot of the ground controller. Now, I do not believe this game has released just yet, but it is on its way, and it's going to, again, it gives you the entire experience from the ground crew perspective. So you're going to be moving cars, baggage, the pushbacks, all of that stuff. And I just wanted you guys to be aware that it was out there. I thought this would be a kind of interesting, addition to our flight experience. On the days where you don't feel like flying, maybe you want to try it from the opposite end of the spectrum. Do it from the boots on the ground and see what that's all about. So I just wanted to share this with you guys real quick. We won't talk too much about it just yet. Again, I know the game is still very much so in development. The graphics look absolutely phenomenal. I think they look fantastic. I'm really super excited to try this one out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So, again, just sharing a little bit of information, something that might pique some of your interest to give it a shot. And as always, guys, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.